Hi guys, it's the Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're gonna do a book tag because I got super busy and I didn't have time and I didn't read anything, including fan fiction. So I'm probably gonna be a little manic. So I'm doing the Where Did Your Lore Start book tag from Carrie Can Read. So this is sort of like, what you used to read when you were younger. The questions seem to be more like middle school, 13, younger, and younger, things like that. And I will say, after reading these questions and writing down my answers, because I actually prepared for today, so shocked, I know, me too. LJ Smith had me on a chokehold when I was younger, okay? So just so you guys are aware, a chokehold. All right, first question. What is the first book you remember reading by yourself? So it took me a while to get into reading. Our mom used to read us stories before we went to bed, things like that. But no one, including myself, because I didn't know what it was, realized I was dyslexic for a bit. So I don't really remember reading anything on my own when I was like really young. But I remember like middle school, late middle school-ish. I remember LJ Smith and the book was The Forbidden Game. And I vaguely have a memory of it. I remember we were visiting my dad's family in Spain for the summer, and my sister and I were sharing a room because we always shared a room, and I remember, I think I borrowed it from her. And I remember being under the covers with a flashlight reading it. Stayed up all night, had to finish it. I have some vague memories that it's sort of like a Alice in Wonderland, Jumanji type thing. I think it was like 3 books. I don't really remember anything much of that at all besides that, but there we go. What character did you most identify with in elementary school? Again, LJ Smith like dominates this list, okay? So she had a series, the Night World series, and I didn't really identify much with book characters growing up. I just didn't. I don't know why. It just didn't strike that chord with me. I don't remember ever like seeing myself in them or anything like that. So this Night World book, Night World book 7, The Huntress. She's like half vampire, half human. Her name was Jazz Redfern. I remember I loved her. I remember I read the book, like I finished it and then read it again. And something about her just, I got it. Like I got why people were like, loved characters and why they kind of, how they saw themselves in it. At the time I didn't realize, but something about that character I really identified with. So Jazz, I remember her being half vampire, half human, and she was fighting on behalf of the humans. That's kind of all I remember. Yeah, but I remember just really like, I don't know, I got her, like I understood her. Yeah, so that's question number 3. What was your elementary school comfort book? Guys, LJ Smith again. I know, I warned you, she had a chokehold on me. She had a chokehold on me so much, because when when it was discovered I had dyslexia and when I really got into books, she was my go-to author, okay? And it helped that my older sister had all of her books. So I just like, bing! It was LJ Smith, The Secret Circle, The Initiation. Even to this day, I really have fond memories of that series, The Secret Circle. The show was crap, but the book series itself, I really, really enjoyed it. I will say there has been some like additional books added to, I'm talking about the main third like trilogy, because there have been some books that are added onto it that kind of destroyed why I love these characters. Like I think one of the books, like The Temptation or something, it's like a newer book that was added on. LJ Smith didn't write it. It seemed like someone else wrote it. had the girls using love potions to get the guys they want, and all I could think of was like, ooh, that's non-consensual, that's horrible, you know? And in the original 3 books, even the bad girl, the evil girls or whatever, didn't do stuff like that, you know? So like, I think in trying to add more books and make it more edgy for the audience now, I think they kind of ruined the core characters, you know? So I pretend those did not happen, and I just stick to the 3. The Initiation, the Captive, and the Power. Those were wonderful. I loved all those characters. Even Faye, who's like supposed to be like the bad girl, like even she was really interesting. And like you remember they're just high schoolers, you know? So like no one's really evil. Yeah, those 3 are really good. Even now, I think a couple years ago I revisited them and I was like, still hold up. These are still good. I mean, right now I don't think they would be considered YA, but they were when I was reading them. I think now they'll probably be more like middle school, maybe like junior high kind of books. But yeah, the books that were added on, like the Temptation, all that, no. Like the Vampire Diaries, how they added on a bunch of books other than the original 3. I was like, I'm not interested in reading those. Sorry. Also, the Vampire Diary book weren't my favorite. The show was so much more interesting, and that does not happen often, but I think Damon in the show was so much more fun and complicated than Damon in the book. So I really love to hate that guy on that show. So there's that. Okay, question 4. Where or what was your safe space as a kid? So, from Jersey, North Jersey, and I lived in a small town, you know, filled with hills. And we were on top of the hill, and that hill would go, like, top of the hill, right? And then, like, 2 blocks down was the high school, and then half a block from the high school, all down the same hill, was the local park. So I would go to the local park, and they had like a climbing structure that kind of, it always made me think of like hamburgers, because it was like a ladder to climb up, and it was like 3 or 4 structures, and they were all like attached by like bridges and stuff, tunnels, bridges, and they were sort of round structures. Like they had a brown base that turned up like a half, you know, like a bottom of, like a top of a hamburger bun, but on the bottom, and then the top of it looked like a top hamburger bun on the top, and then it had like bars in between so the kids can't, you know. But what I would do, I would climb on top of those, and I would sit on top of those where there was no safety at all. But that's where I would go, you know what I mean? And it was like 3 blocks away from my house. Yeah, so that's where I would go. Sometimes I would read there, sometimes I would just go there to be by myself, because I am very much an introvert in the sense that like my brain recharges in solitude. And most of my family is very extrovert, and but not all, and they recharge around people. So sometimes it just got too much. So sometimes I would go there to read, or I would just bring, and this is gonna age me, a Discman. Woo! And I would listen to my CDs up there, like, and I was like, you know, I was totally into like Third Eye Blind, Wallflowers, things like that. Yeah, so that would be my little, and it wasn't like I was tucked away, because like the park was open, so you could obviously see this kid sitting on top of these structures where you're not supposed to go, like reading or listening to music. So it was very much hidden, where everybody could see. So don't know really why I thought that was like a hiding spot. But you'd be surprised how little people like look up. You know what I mean? Anyway, 5. How has your taste in books changed since childhood? So childhood, I really liked, obviously, the L.J. Smith books, which have to do with vampires, witches, werewolves, things like that. Powers, psychic powers, magic. Night World series is like the apocalypse kind of stuff. there was mysteries and things like that. So I don't think it has really changed, because I still love paranormal books and I'm really snobby about it, so it's got to be done right. I read romance, but instead of like the romance in these books for like holding hands or kissing, you know, I read more open door romances, you know. And I still love mysteries. So I don't think it's changed. It's just sort of gone from like middle school YA interest to like adultness. I literally wrote on the page, same but like adultanese. So same but adult, you know. So yeah, that hasn't really changed. I'm still looking for like a good paranormal romance, and I don't know why I'm so picky about it, but I just am. I super am. I just am, you know. Okay, question 6. Did you feel inspired to read by your school? And if yes, how did your upbringing encourage reading? I don't really think school encouraged me so much. Again, you know, I was diagnosed with dyslexia maybe 7th grade, you know, so kind of later on. And before that, school definitely made me feel stupid, especially when they were like, would call on you to read like a chapter or a page or something like that. When that happened, like, oh, that's probably something that induced the most anxiety in me. And like, even to stay in adult life, that still was like, so I would like calculate what paragraph would be mine, and I would read it and reread it and try to make the words stay still. And you know, so when it came my turn, I almost just like said it from memory instead of reading it. So like, if anything, I think school discouraged me from reading because of that. Even when they diagnosed me, there was just a few tricks that they kind of taught, and that was kind of it. And it was like, okay, on your own, like, oh, put a ruler under it. All right, on your own, you know. So it really was a time where that I just had to figure out on my own how to not compensate, but like how to help it not happen, or how to minimize the symptoms and things like that. And I'm lucky enough that it's not a severe case. Maybe that's why the school I kind of fell between the cracks in that. I remember my parents being really frustrated because they're big readers, and they just, you know, maybe it was a relief for them that I was diagnosed with dyslexia, because I don't think they understood why I didn't devour books like them or my older sister. So it was kind of like not a good mental health time. But I do, like, my big sister always had a book on her, always. Like I said, I would like borrow her L.J. Smith books later on when I finally figured out what works for me, you know. I remember every time on vacation, our dad would have like some kind of biography, you know, who's reading on the plane or on the beach, you know what I mean? Probably the most relaxed I ever see him, you know, or saw him, because his job was pretty stressful. And I remember one time, maybe I was like 9th grade, my mom was reading The Shining by Stephen King, and she just like, I just hear like her booking it from upstairs, coming into the living room. And this is the Northeast, so houses are kind of built up, not out, because there's not a lot of space. Anyway, and like sitting on the couch next to my dad and like finishing it, because she didn't want to be by herself when she was finishing it, but she had to finish it. I remember that. Yeah. So I was always surrounded by readers, you know. Even my younger brother devoured comic books. So I think it was more like understanding that, no, I'm not stupid. And this is just, my brain works a little different, and I just have to figure out how to work with that, like work with my brain to do this, because I really wanted to read the books like they were, because they seemed so into it, and it seemed something that they really, really loved. And I just felt so left out and so stupid. So it took a while, and I can't believe I'm getting emotional with this book tag. What the heck? Carrie. Bring up childhood trauma. Okay. Well, I don't know if I consider it full trauma, but so that was kind of the thing. I was always my family surrounded by readers. I had to understand that I wasn't stupid. It's just my brain worked a little different. When I was older, it turned out like one of my aunts was also dyslexic, but I didn't know that at the time. And I think if I knew that at the time, it would have helped me so much not to like degrade myself mentally. But such is life, right? So I think it's more that. I don't think school, now I think school's so important. I think teachers are underpaid, but I really do feel like I was let down at that point, you know. It happens. I don't blame the institute. I blame the teachers that were at the time there. You know what I mean? So, all right. Question 7. What book have you wanted to return to lately? So this is interesting because if you guys are watching for a little bit, I have been returning to some of the series I loved as a kid. I found the Night World series at my local reused bookstore. I found like all 9 of them, so I'm like slowly going through them and I'm having so much fun. I think I stopped at 3 and I'm gonna read book 4 soon. And also that's interesting because rest in peace LJ Smith, she recently died, and apparently because the Night World series is unfinished, so apparently she finished it before she passed away, and I am so intrigued and also so worried. I hope I love it. And I've been slowly revisiting the Mallory romance, historical romance series, The Mallory Family by Johanna Lindsey. It's one of my favorite series she's ever done, so I'm slowly going through that. I think I'm up to Loving Scoundrel, but I haven't read that yet because I have so much on my TBR. So much. And then on my trip to the Grand Canyon, my family and I were driving there and back. We listened to the first 2 Dresden Files, so I kind of wanted to continue on with that because I have them, because I haven't read the new novella The Law yet, and then the new one 12 Months is coming out, and I really want to get back into the Dresden Files, even though that one scene in that second book made me hate freaking Murphy forever, but that's fine because I know what happens to her. And now I'm like, good. Before I was like dreading it, and now I'm like, no, good. I can't wait to read it because bloodthirsty, baby. Yeah, let's go. So that's it. So I have like 3 series that I've read previously that I'm sort of slowly getting back into and reading here and there. It's just that I have a lot of TBR books of authors I haven't read yet that I really should give a try. Okay, question 8. A book you had to read in school but you loved. Okay, so this book I had to read in high school because high school, they make you read all these books. A Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen, and you guys are probably like, oh yeah, duh. But like, you have to understand, like I said before, school kind of let me down in getting me to really love reading. But man, did I just love this book. Like, I just loved this book. To the point, like, every Christmas, I revisit it, I read it. It's just a little treat for me. For some reason, maybe because we read it during the winter holidays, I don't know. But it always makes me think of Christmas. So I tend to read it during the Christmas season. I don't really talk about it because, like, I read it every year. You guys know about it. If you haven't read a Jane Austen, this and Lady Jane, they're like my favorites. I think Emma's the one I like the least, just because I don't like to read books where I don't like the main character or don't root for the main character. You guys know that though. But yeah, Pride and Prejudice was the first time a school book got me like, oh, I love it, Question 9, your weirdest favorite book. Okay, so now probably Wyborn and Griffin by Jordan L. Hawk. It's like a historical 1900s gay romance with Cthulhu in it. And I just love Jordan L. Hawk. But then Can you guess who the author is? Yeah. I would say the Secret Circle series, the original 3, The Initiation, The Captive, The Power by L.J. Smith. Those were my favorite. I remember revisiting them multiple times, from junior high to even college, you know, to like de-stress, you know. Yeah. Okay, question 10. If your 13-year-old self could live in a fictional world, which would it be? And if it's difficult from the world you choose now. So the L.J. Smith world is what I would have picked. Because, like, as you could tell, she had a chokehold. Where witches, vampires, werewolves, you know, the half vampires, you know, stopping soulmates and all this kind of stuff was going on. My 13-year-old self was like, whoa, this is so cool. Now, no thanks. Because now I'm like, oh yeah, people were just like chew toys and food and yeah, no thanks. And like some of the Redfield family, the older old-fashioned ones, like literally had human slaves, and I'm like, no thanks, I'm good. Now probably just like, I don't even know, like a cozy mystery world where I'm just like not even involved. I'm just the neighbor. I'm the neighbor to like maybe the noodle shop, and I'm just Lana's neighbor. You know what I mean? That could work, right? Yeah, okay. Question 11. Is there a newly released book you oh wow, you wish you had when you were younger? Yeah, I mean, it's not out yet technically. Like I said, L.J. Smith apparently finished the Night World series before she tragically passed on, and sadly passed on. So like when I was first reading that, I would have loved to have finished the series when it was happening, you know. So that I really would have loved, and I think that counts, even though it's, I mean, it's kind of a rumor, so who knows if it's true. I hope so. Yeah. I mean, really, the Night World series is freaking awesome. I'm still enjoying it. Okay, so question 12 is not really a question. Favorite booktubers. I watch a lot of booktubers. Carrie Can Read, obviously, with Cindy. Katie Coulson, I enjoy a lot. Brandy Reads with Rachel. Also, Gavin Reads It All. I am obsessed with his reading scary books in haunted places series. I don't know if there's like a bunch that he has done where he's reading a nun slasher in a nun outfit in a haunted nunnery. Hysterical. Like, oh, so funny. So I watch so many, and I'm probably forgetting off the top of my head other ones that I watch, and I'm probably like, ah, shit, you know what I mean? But I mostly watch booktubers. So all right, that was it. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a trauma dump there, guys. Sorry about that. I don't want too much time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.